Hello, everyone. Welcome to the weekly show of Classroom Without Walls. My name is I'm the CEO of Classroom Without Walls and the host of this weekly live streaming show. You can also listen to us on the traditional audio-only podcast. Just search Classroom Without Walls. On this show, I interview leading social media, digital marketers, entrepreneurs, storytellers, business leaders to come here to share with us their best practices so that we can future-proof our business. Today, I'm really excited to have Kristian on the show to talk about video marketing, which is one of my favorite topics. And so we are going to show you how to tap into and embrace video marketing and to turn strangers into customers. Kristian is the creative director at 0 Degree Story, and he is a video marketing expert and has been in this space for almost 10 years. And he has worked with household brands like Adidas, Puma, World Soccer Shop, and so many others. And I was stalking on him to get prepared for the interview. And I loved his Facebook content and LinkedIn content. So you are going to walk away from today's interview with a much better understanding of video marketing and how to do video marketing right in 2021 and what are some of Kristian's favorite tools that you should start using also, and the power of storytelling and how you can integrate stories into your marketing messages, into your business messages, and so much more. So really excited for today's interview. And as always, a big shout out to StreamYard for being a sponsor of Classroom Without Walls. Over the last 4 years, I have tried so many different third-party tools to go live. StreamYard is my all-time favorite. So I have a discount code in the comment section. Check it out for free for 2 weeks, or shoot me a message if you have any questions. We're live on LinkedIn, on Facebook, on YouTube, on Periscope, on Twitch, and on Facebook.
Wow.
So if you are live with us, let me know. Yes, in the comment section where you guys are joining us live from. Without any further ado, welcome to the show, Kristian.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I'm very excited. I'm impressed. I'm impressed with your setup. We're everywhere today.
Bonnie's already here. Hey, my friend, so great to see you. Yes. So let's get started. As I mentioned earlier, you have been in this space for quite a few years. You were embracing video before video became a thing. So I want to ask you, so what really inspired you to purchase the very first professional $500 camera that you shared on social media and also start your own YouTube channel? So can you share that backstory with us?
Yeah. Oh man, that first camera. You're reminding me of everything I filmed when I was in high school. But at that point, I was just your high school kid. I had a creative spirit. It was just YouTube was a really, really early, it was in its infancy when I was in high school. And I just was fascinated with people who were sharing tutorials and teaching me things. So immediately I had this platform where I could learn. And I don't remember exactly what it was about a camera or photography or video, but as soon as I picked up the camera, there was just something about the way I felt like I could express myself that was unlike anything I've ever experienced before. I don't draw. I'm not a good written artist or any of those things. But when I picked up a camera, well, it was the first time where I felt that I had some creative superpower that I could bring forth. And so from that moment on, I just, was on YouTube learning every day. I was filming just high school shenanigans at that point in time, nothing professional, but yeah, it just really became this really fun way to express myself.
That's amazing. I watched some of your videos, so very, very impressed. So as I said earlier, over the last decade, you have worked with amazing brands like Adidas, Puma. And you even got hired to work on an international documentary and to talk about soccer culture in Mexico City. Amazing. So share with us, how did those opportunities come to you?
That I feel so blessed to have gotten those opportunities. And for me, that really just came from networking and meeting people. And I think there's just a serendipitous in life when you kind of put yourself out there, you're out, you're meeting new people. That's kind of how it started. And so someone who I met at a park next to my apartment in Chicago, working with him on a little project led me to the next one. And through that little kind of hopping and doing some work for some people, all of a sudden people are recognizing what I'm doing and they're starting to invite me into these opportunities. So I just feel super blessed. I think it came down to putting myself out there. I was young, I was still trying to learn. And so I was offering my work for free to people. And so that was just kind of how I got the jump start, and getting involved with some of those like really big brands, like within the first couple of years of my career was amazing. Like I feel like I lucked out in a way.
That's amazing. And also, I totally agree. The power of you just like putting yourself out there. I feel like that is something that many people are afraid of, right? Like I have to be perfect in order to put myself out there. And even for me, I have been doing this for quite a few years. When I looked at my very first live streaming video, I was like, oh my God, who is that? Delete. And it's like definitely a journey. So speaking of which, so can you share with us what are some like key top lessons that you have learned over the last several years to get to where you are today as like a video content creator or storyteller?
Yeah, I think some big things, like some of the big main ideas that started shifting for me was, at the beginning, I was making a lot of films about myself. It was about me. And that's how I got started. But then when I started working with companies, I kind of applied that same thinking. Oh, let's make it about them, and let's make it about them. But that first year, I was pretty frustrated because I wasn't getting results. My clients weren't getting results with their video. And I kind of had, some aha moments after investing into some other programs, learning about marketing. I'm like, oh, it's not about the company. We need to make it about the customer and the clients. And so that big shift allowed me to really change my approach to the way I helped guide a business in making a creative video. It was less about, let's talk about the business, but how can we focus on the customer? What do they want? Let's listen and hear from them, and then make something that's for them. So I would say that's been like the biggest shift in the kind of results I've been able to create using video content, is just keeping your audience in mind and what their needs and struggles are and how you can help educate them.
I love that. And here is and a great enjoy, you are awesome. I so agree. And a great comment from Chris talking about video is one of the easiest ways to really make connections with strangers. And Chris himself is amazing videographer. And so definitely. So share with us, as a result of that shift, right, from being very company or self-focused to customer focused. So how does that shift affect your storytelling? So can you give us kind of like an example? Like before, this is how you were telling a story, but now this is how you approach like a client or how you approach a story. So that we can see more of the difference.
Yeah, I think one of the common things that I saw when I was at that early stage was, there's a lot of companies, and all the videos I saw on their websites were about the brand culture, about who the company is and their core values and those. And I'm like, if that's what these businesses are doing, I'm going to do this for the small businesses. So, but that wasn't working, and it doesn't really provide value to the client. And so the thing that I started falling in love with was, how can we tell stories of someone that you have impacted, you as a business, and making a story of impact. So we hear testimonial videos. I like to call them impact stories, thanks to my mentors at Muse Storytelling. But that's kind of how I started. So instead of advising, let's make a video about you, hey, let's go find a story in your existing customer base. Let's find something really interesting that people can connect with, and let's focus the story on that person instead of you.
Well, I love that. I also love the term impact story. I'm going to totally steal this concept. It sounds a lot more powerful than like testimonials or case studies.
Right.
I love this. And to be honest, now as I think about it, many of the programs that I purchase are as a result of those videos that you talked about. now when those people talk about their own companies, you know what? I
Right.
couldn't care. I don't really care what you do, but I do care if you can help me transform and get the results that I want. So the
Yeah.
best way to show me that is actually watching all those
Yeah.
like heartwarming or heartbreaking like stories and transformations. So it makes a huge difference. That is such a great point. Such a great point. Yeah, I love that. So from being like a content creator to starting your own company.
Yeah.
So what was the turning point? What was the big story, big aha?
Oh man. So I think a lot of things that freelance videographers struggle with is, I think now that content marketing video, now everyone knows about it, it's kind of commoditized. And so at the early stages, I was competing with a lot of people who are willing to lower their prices to just a few $100s. But I realized, and I got quickly tired, this is not the way that I'm gonna build a sustainable business. And so what I learned from Muse Storytelling through one of their programs is value is perception. People perceive value. And so I was trying to find ways that I could, improve my expertise. How can I increase the perception of my value? So a simple example is I'm not selling videos, I'm solving problems. And so I try to approach that context with that mindset of, they're not hiring me just to make a video. They're hiring me to help them solve a problem that's with specific business challenges. So the success in shifting that was in me just asking better questions for my clients. I used to just be an order taker and be a tripod and do whatever they told me. But now I'm coming to the table asking really good questions about their strategy. What are you going to do with the video after it's done? And that's when you kind of start to uncover people don't really know what to do with it. I didn't even think about that. And then it's like, okay, cool. How can we think and plan for that before we even turn the cameras on?
Well, I love that. So not only you are a video creator, but on top of that, you're also a strategist, right? I love that. Yeah, I really think most people have no idea. And then because there are also lots of blind spots. So you come in with this fresh perspective, really help them tell a compelling story. Really, really nice. I love it. And so here, Chris said that, impact stories, and it's a fantastic approach. I love it. I think we should all start using the term impact stories. So here's a great comment from Bonnie. And so she said that she has a subscription with Adobe Premiere Pro, and which is actually one of my questions. I wonder if you are using any, like, what are some of the tools that you use to produce professional quality videos? And maybe you can share with us kind of the journey when you were starting out on this. What are some of the cheap ones that you're using? But now, given the level you are today, what are some more of the professional ones that you're using? So her clients are chiropractor practitioners, and she's leveraging Dennis Yu, who just came to my show a few weeks ago.
Awesome.
And talking about the why, the how, the what.
Yep.
I like to create video scripts for her agency. So maybe if you have some ideas for her, also share some ideas with Bonnie, and also do share with us what are some of the tools that you use and love, like kind of different phases.
Yeah, no, Dennis Yu is great. I said it on one of his webinars. I forgot the event, but I learned a lot from him, and I love the way he approached the why, what, how. I think because there you have to think about the different levels of awareness for your customer. From they're aware, they're considering, they're making a decision, and so you can create content that answers and meets people where they are in that customer journey. So I love that Dennis Yu is inspiring you, and that she's helping chiropractors kind of implement the same thing. So is the question then about the software and the technical? Was that
so I'm also curious, like what like tools that you use for video production?
So that's a great question. And sometimes I have a hard time answering it because I'm just so in the weeds of technical jargon. But I love the Adobe products, the Adobe suite that I think Bonnie, I didn't catch her name, but she was mentioning. The Adobe Creative Cloud is amazing. All those tools integrate really well. So if you have a graphic designer, a video editor, and various other components that use this, they all kind of connect together. But if you're super basic, if you're like getting started with square one, smartphone, like our smartphones are great. And then for any simple editing, you can leverage some free technology out there. Actually, if you were to buy a software, I personally would recommend Camtasia. It's a tool. It's one of the most easiest tools I've used in terms of editing. It just makes it very user-friendly and easy. And it's actually really cool to like record your screen, your webcam, and make some like tutorial style videos. That's what it's designed for, but it also works just for any basic video editing. So that's one I would highly recommend if you're just getting started.
So what are the tools that you are using nowadays?
I'm using the Adobe Cloud. So Adobe Premiere, After Effects, that's like my main suite. And then, you know, I have professional camera equipment and stuff. I'd be happy to get into the details of that, but I want to just make sure that people don't get lost in the gear, because really, I don't think it's less about the gear and it's more about the messaging and the storytelling. That part you can accomplish on your own without having any professional equipment. So that's kind of where I just would love to place the emphasis of that. That's about it. I mean, you see my Blue Yeti mic here, and that's about all I got. A nice light for my home.
Yeah, I mean, that's such a great point. I feel like oftentimes people got so obsessed with, even with live streaming, right? We got so obsessed with the tools, the technology, all those things. But I think what really matters is the story, the content that you're sharing. So that is such a great point. And I love this comment from Dan saying that, you know, showing the vision versus a feeling. Like, you know, I love how you describe this as being a tripod. And that is such a vivid description to show the difference between being like a contractor versus a consultant. So now you are more on the consulting side. Yeah.
That's a great analogy.
Yeah, also I think it makes a great point for everyone watching this. If we are interested in hiring a videographer, I think we should also hire not only a videographer, but also people on the consulting side, so that you can really leverage, you understand the strategy, not just like, you know, the spaghetti approach, you know, throwing out content out there. Yeah. So you talk so much, as I was trying to be getting prepared for this interview, Kristian. You talk so much about the importance of storytelling.
Yeah.
So why is that so important? So unpack that for us.
Well, what I think a helpful way I like to think about it is, when you're not telling a story, you're telling facts. You're trying to convince people with statistics, with facts, really logical things. But the reality is, we're humans and we make emotional decisions. As much as we like to think we're rational beings, we're actually very irrational. And as far as I can tell, storytelling is like the best vehicle we have to make an emotional connection through the way we communicate with someone. It's kind of in our DNA. It goes all the way back to our roots. And so storytelling, it's easy to see examples in like documentaries, in things that are outside of the business world. And so I think it's important, but it's also a challenge for businesses to realize that they can leverage it too. When you're telling your own story, when you're telling stories of your customers, really building out like a plot will help engage people rather than using logic. So the idea behind a story, there's a story arc, you know, beginning, middle, end. That's the most basic understanding. And there's so many ways to dissect a story arc. But the idea of an arc is to engage people the whole way, bring them on a journey. And so instead of leading with your purpose to sell a product or to sell something, you start with a person and you let their story bring you to that purpose at the end rather than at the beginning.
I love that. And I want to be more specific, right? I feel like storytelling is an art and also science. Many people know the importance of stories, but when it comes to our business, we just forget how to tell a compelling story. So I wonder if you can share with us, are there specific, I don't know if it's too technical, other specific like benchmarks or like, you know, elements that you want to make sure that everyone covers, or formula that you follow in terms of, or like how do you script your story and to make sure that the story is conveying the message that it intends to convey, and people will actually watch the video and follow the call to action?
Yeah. That's a great question. And let me try to think of how I can condense it, because I kind of remix a lot of the different formulas. But the one place I would encourage people to take a look at is look at Muse storytelling and their 6 essential plot points. They probably have a blog post about it, but those are my mentors in the world of storytelling and filmmakers. But in the point of getting specific, I think a challenge that people have is they just kind of get lost in the middle. And I think as filmmakers, we just film a lot of the middle, but we need to remember that there's a beginning and an end to the story. And so, I mean, the simplest way is beginning, middle, end. And I'm trying to come up with an example, but it's on the spot right now.
Sorry to put you on the spot.
No, you're good. So let me think. Here's an example. So I just did a story with, for one of my recent clients at Humanity Centered. We were telling the story of how some folks were impacted. And one of the stories, so to give you an example, her program is to help UX professionals understand how to have challenging conversations in terms of inclusivity, equity, and what's the third one? Diversity in organizations. And so now that the world's dealing with, there's a lot of racism surfacing, there's a lot of inequality that's surfacing, stuff that's been existing in our society for a long time, it's really come to surface. So one of the stories was of a white cisgender male who is recognizing that the world was designed for a default white person. And so now we have this challenge of how would a company want to enroll more white males into this program? Do you think that telling the story of a female Hispanic queer is going to resonate with white males? And so in this example, we kind of identified, let's tell a story. If we want to get more white males to join this movement, then we need to tell a story that relates with that person. And so it's finding a character that is going to resonate with the audience that you have in mind. And so I hope that's a little bit helpful. There's this idea of story finding where you kind of, a lot of times in a client relationship, clients come to me and they come to the videographer, hey, we have someone in mind. But I think we can challenge that a little bit further and say, let me find you a better story. Let's look at, really understand your audience and find a single character, just one, and tell the story of that one person. I feel like I'm rambling, but if I'm making sense.
100%. I love this example, finding that person to resonate. As I listened to you talk, I was in my mind, I was thinking, if this person didn't have this consultant with you, maybe the person will approach the story that most of us typically do, right? We explain the reasons and we give facts, we give information, almost feels like a lecture. That's why so much.
Right, yeah, great example.
Facts, information. That's why you need to join the movement.
Yeah.
The heart is now being connected. So the example you just gave us is like, wow, you connect at this very heart and emotional level. So I love that. So thanks for sharing. And talking about examples, you also posted on LinkedIn, I found which is really fascinating. And I also want you to share the power of storytelling. So you said on a recent LinkedIn post that one of your clients was trying to blast off an email to 30,000 professionals on this person's email list. I think we can relate to, right? And so only one person signed up. And so what you did was that you did your magic. You changed. I'm going to ask you, what did you do? So you did your magic. So as a result of what you did, this client had 125 people signed up for the masterclass, and 48 people actually showed up. That is huge.
A big change.
That is huge, right? And so what did you do? Did you also implement and incorporate storytelling? So what's the magic? What's the formula? Because we all want 48 people show up.
Yeah, right.
Classes,
So I think there was 2 big adjustments that we made in that email, and it kind of goes back to how we opened up. The first email was about the company, about why they're great, why their offer is so amazing. And the second thing is they were trying to sell it in that email and not give value first. And so the next iteration of that email, we scrapped literally everything. And we said, okay, the goal here isn't to sell them your masterclass. The goal here is to invite them to a webinar where they get to learn about the masterclass. So that was one big change. And the second big change was instead of making it about you, let's make it about your ideal client. And so what initially the first sentence was about, this is why this program is so great. We changed it to, this is what people like you commonly struggle with. Do you relate? So we made it about them. And so I think those two adjustments, as you saw, it made a significant improvement in the way people reacted to that a cold email. So going from the first time only getting one person to sign up to now getting over 125 submissions, I think that just kind of shows when we flip it from don't talk about yourself, talk about them. I think that's like one of the biggest things you can do.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love like when I just hear you mentioning that, this is why you are struggling. I feel like, agitating my struggles, agitating my pain, right? Like, yeah, this is really for me, which is such a great hook. Do you have any other examples to show like a good hook like that?
Yeah. So I think when I think of hook, I think the goal there is to lead with a conflict. Always start with a conflict. And usually when I'm looking at people's video ads online, because I study those, because I like to see what people are up to, and I use that too to prospect for clients, I'm seeing a lot that people wait to talk about the conflict at the end of a video. But going back to that lens, make it about your customer, lead with conflict. What is it that they're struggling with? And so that's what I found to be one of the most powerful hooks is within the first few seconds, call out your audience, have them relate with a challenge. And there could be multiple ways to think about what that conflict is, but that's usually, in my opinion, the most powerful hook you can have is conflict. Just get us right in there and hook us.
Yeah, knowing that people's attention span is so short, there's no point to wait after 3 paragraphs to talk about the conflict.
Yeah.
I love it. I use it all the time. So in many of my social media posts, the common enemy, the conflict is between me, what I do, and the broken education model. I have so many posts talking about, hey, parents, listen, the education model is broken. Not only that, it's hurting your children to succeed in life, for example. Yeah. And I have lots of parents, they message me like, wow, that just like, ooh, like.
You get me. Yeah.
Yeah,
because I think you know your audience very well, and you know the challenges in the industry. And so whenever they read a message like that, it's like, oh my gosh, she gets me. She knows what I'm dealing with. So that's awesome that you got that reaction.
Yeah. So, it definitely took me lots of time and tries and efforts to get here. So, like, what do you do to really get to know kind of what the people want, the struggles, the pains? So, are there like questions you probe? Like, how do you really get to know?
Yeah.
Someone's target audience that well?
So I actually talk to them. Before any film project I start is send me a list of 3 to 5 customers and I'll call them, get to know them, and I ask those questions. And so I like to ask about their life before they met my client and what they were dealing with, what happened, and why they thought it was worth it. I like to hear it in their own words. And so every project begins with story finding, which is where I'm actually talking directly with clients and the people who could potentially be in the story. So get in front of your customers, talk to them, ask questions, you can have them list 3 to 5 struggles. And then the one that sounds interesting to you, then you dive in and follow up on those other details.
I love that. Don't ever underestimate the power of talking to people. I love that. So here in Bonnie, yes, that hook, starting with a conflict, I think that's a great idea. Just like to follow up on what you were talking about, Kristian, regarding like talking to people. When I launched my very first program 2 years ago, I didn't talk to anyone. I thought I knew everything that my ideal audience was struggling with. So I launched the program. It was quite a disaster. It was definitely not a success. And then after that, I started to talk to people. I was like, oh my God, you guys are actually struggling with this? Whereas my program was talking about that. I was like, oh wow, what a like $40,000 mistake I just made. Wow. And so seriously, I think this is so really powerful. That's why I actually launched another podcast and
Okay.
just talking to parents on my show, like
Awesome.
constantly serving my audience regarding what they need. Because sometimes you will be surprised, right? You think this is the reason, but they actually think something totally different.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. 100%. I'm trying to remember the name of Kate. The company Customer Camp, Kate is the founder. I forget her last name, but I've been learning a lot more from her and understanding the psychology of why people buy. And so I'm actually using her customer clarity cheat sheet to interview customers and learn and hear it in their own words. Like, why did you buy? Because oftentimes myself or a business, we're making a guess. We think we know, but until you hear it from the words of your own customers, you're just making a guess. And so I like to be certain and going straight to the source before trying to put together, like, as you said, it can be a significant costly mistake if you don't study your customers, because then you're going to make something that they don't actually want.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, like ask questions. And even for my Calendly link, so when people book a call, I have a few calendar links, like one is for parents.
Okay.
And actually I will ask them, what are the top 3 struggles? I make that as a required question. And what is your greatest hope for your children? So I'm just constantly, if you're booking a call, you better tell me the struggles. And then when I actually talk to them, I use exactly the terms that they are using during the call.
That's perfect. Yeah, that's so good. That's the best practice right there.
It makes a big difference. Yeah. The psychology of why people buy, which you mentioned earlier, right? That emotional connection.
Yeah.
So great insights. And so today we're talking about, we already talked a lot about video marketing. So I wonder if you can just kind of dive in, share some specifics. So what do you do and to really convert all those strangers into customers by only using video?
Yeah.
Besides storytelling, what else do you do?
Yeah, totally. Thanks for asking that, because it's been something I've been obsessing over this last year. And
I know, I saw it. That's why I had to ask.
And
do your research, right?
Yeah. So in my early stages, I kind of mentioned how at the beginning it was very frustrating because I wasn't getting results. And you can make a video and you can craft the best story and the best message, but if it's not getting in front of the right people, it's not going to do anything for you. And so now you have to think about, not only are you creating a message, but you also have to consider how you're going to distribute it. Where does your audience spend time online? How do they view information? And so if you think about it and meet them where they are, you can essentially place the story in front of the right person. And today, I think there's a few ways to do that. You can do it organically, have it spread by word of mouth. YouTube, you can upload things onto platforms that are searchable. And so if you create YouTube content over time, you can rank in search results. And then the third way is you can pay. Every platform that we interact on, you can pay to place your content in front of someone. And so my company offers a lot of digital ad campaign services, but it's kind of more than that, because you kind of, when you think about the video, as Bonnie was telling earlier about the dentist use, how, what, why, I don't know if that's the right order, but you have to think about the stages of awareness and what you're communicating with them in every stage. So oftentimes a campaign that I help a client with is going to involve more than one video, because we need a video to get people aware of it. We need another one when they're considering it. And finally, we need some more warmer targeted content when they're actually at the hottest stage, they're ready to buy. And so I've been just learning everything about how can I create a powerful video and then build like a marketing funnel, an intentional marketing funnel where, to me, I like to think about it's giving information to people at the time that they need it and it serves them best. Like marketing funnels, you think of gimmicky, slimy sales tactics, that's like a lot of people think about that, but I like to, I've kind of been peeling away from this negative gimmicky sales, but in reality, it's a way to deliver information to people at the right time. You're nurturing your audience, not selling to them. And so if you can kind of map out the journey, and if you want to get to a specific level, it's creating some Facebook advertisements targeted to the right audience. Once they click into the advertisement, now they're on a landing page where you have the opportunity to educate them more, give them more value and why they should consider it. So that's kind of the tools and the other marketing strategies, like components that come into the filmmaking, and making sure that video, it has a system around it so it can actually drive meaningful results for the business objectives.
Really powerful. And I would love to hear some examples. So are you saying that as you are nurturing a person's journey, the buyer's journey, and at different stage, you produce like kind of a different video so that the video actually answers this person's struggles and questions at this point. And then after this video is another video. Can you give a really, really powerful. So can you give us some examples? Yeah. Like what can be a good example of the very first video? Is that kind of like generic, talking about generally people like, give me some examples.
Yeah, so I'll tell you a little bit about what we're doing in the dance studio world, because right now we started a new company today called Dance Motion Marketing. And so we're helping dance studios fill their classrooms with this model. When it comes to an advertisement, your goal isn't to sell them. All you got to get someone to do is click and be interested. And so that's where we're just competing for attention. You're trying to get someone to share their curiosity with you and raise their hand and say, I'm interested. The action at that point is just a simple click. So there, the content, I try to be more visual, more catchy, just providing some essential information, but not giving everything away, just to say, hey, would you like to learn more? That's the opportunity there. So once then someone opts in, they want to learn more, they've clicked on the advertisement, now you're at a new place on the internet, and that's typically your website. And there, you have the opportunity to write a little bit more long form content. The video can be longer. It's your website. You have creative control over the experience. And so I think common misused advice is videos have to be 10 seconds. We have to be 5 seconds. They have to be short. That's true if you want to get their attention. But once they're interested, they are more familiar with you. And now you can invite them to invest maybe 10 minutes watching a video, reading a landing page, getting more information. So I like an analogy I like to use is, would you limit your best sales presentation to just 60 seconds? I don't know about you, but I would love to give my best sales presentation more time. And so there you have an opportunity to invite them. And with tools and analytics, you can measure, how many people are watching 50% of my video? How many people are watching the whole thing? And you can be very sure that if you made a 10-minute video that's very educational, the people who watch 100% of it, they're going to be the most interested. And now with the tools and technology we have in place, you can create a message just for those people. And that's going to be a much different message than people who watched 25% of the video. Those people I actually wouldn't really care about. They're not interested. But if you watched 100%, now I can start thinking, okay, cool. So they loved this. What's that next piece that we can add and then remarket that audience with something new, more information, because they're hungry, they want more. And so that's kind of how you can start thinking about how you can build out that journey. And I think the line is with sales and marketing. So marketing gets someone into the door, and then once they're in the door, it's up to the sales systems to kind of continue nurturing them. And so at that point, it can be onboarding videos, you can have a training library, depending on the business. But in the world of dance, once they come in, we have someone who's picking up and calling that person on the phone. And then it's up to that business to be warm, inviting, and welcoming to then nurture those strangers into a customer.
I love that. I also love the analogy that, marketing is to get those people, close the door and enter the door, and the sales team is to really close that journey. Really, really powerful. I also have some follow-up questions.
Yeah.
I want to ask the question from our live audience. Our friend Troy is here.
Hey, Troy.
So he has a question for you. How do you create high converting videos specifically for your funnels versus outward facing ones? Is it the same process? And do you really understand the question? I don't really get the question, but you're smarter than me.
I think so. So I think what he's asking is the process for creating a video for the landing page, and then how we approach it for the advertisement. And so really, it's going to start with that landing page video. We start with the long form content, whatever that main pillar content is going to be. That's where we begin. And so if it's going to be an impact story, we'll focus on that story. It may be like a 5-minute piece. And then from those 5 minutes, we'll make like shorter 15 trailers, so to speak, where we just hook the audience. And if they want to watch the rest of the story, then they click through. So I start with that main pillar content first, and then I repurpose that into the advertisements and the outward facing videos.
Wow, that's powerful. So recently I just discovered this term, which is called video sales letter. So
Okay.
it's kind of what you are describing is almost like a video sales letter. Okay.
Yeah, that's a word. I like to call it, a value video is the term I use. A video that's giving value to your audience, or it's just communicating the value. So video sales letter to me sounds salesy. I think that's an opportunity where we actually add value and make a deposit to our prospect versus trying to sell them on that spot.
I love all the new terms you're using, like impact stories, like value videos. I love that. So another point that you mentioned, I think is here. Yeah, I love that analogy, right? Would you limit your best presentation to only 60 seconds? Really powerful when you think it that way. Yeah. So like, I think something you mentioned really powerful is that you target people based on how much content they have consumed, right? 10 minutes versus 20 minutes. So what tools do you use to kind of track, which reminds me of a LinkedIn article that you wrote, which you were talking about story-driven video content, 100% trackable distribution strategies. I think this is what you are talking about, right? So what do you use to track this?
Yeah.
So what are the specific tools that you are using?
That's a great question. So each platform has native advertising. So Facebook advertising, Twitter, whatever platform you decide to advertise on, it has those metrics built in. So it's just a matter of changing the columns that you want to see. So for example, in Facebook, I want to look at 50% video view completion. That I care about how many people are getting to the 50% mark. So that's one element. But on the landing page, I love using Wistia. Wistia is like a video hosting platform, amazing people. And they actually have really powerful analytic tools within the videos where you can actually even prompt call to actions within the video. But their analytics is so smart. It helps me also measure where people are engaging and falling short. So sometimes I use their data to re-edit the video in a new order to see if people stay engaged longer. That's a very good one. They have the ability to build remarketing audiences, but that's a more expensive platform. So today I'm just leveraging the free accounts on Wistia, and it's something I recommend to folks. I think.
Can you say the name again, or maybe it's like
Wistia? Yeah, it's Wistia. I'll type it here in the chat.
Oh yeah, I think I saw them. It's really powerful. Yeah. I love it. I definitely need to do more tracking. I love how you are also using the insights that you gain from this tracking to retell the story, right? You know which part people are dropping and which part is you are losing the audience, and that is
it's an art and science.
Yeah. Very, very powerful, very powerful. So did you see a higher converting rate after you adopt this retargeting strategy?
Yeah, so actually remarketing audiences, that's where a lot of companies typically find a lot of their revenue, because when someone first arrives to your page, they may not be ready to buy yet. And so it's important to, as you kind of build your cold audience, implementing strategies and additional content that you can use to go back to the audience that was interested, give them more value, give them more content, and you have to kind of continue warming up. And this strategy is going to change depending on how high of a ticket your offer is. So for example, to get me to buy a lollipop won't cost that much, but to get me to invest in a $10,000 mastermind program, it's going to take a lot longer. So depending on your price point, how long your sales journey, your sales journeys typically are, your sales cycle, those kind of the things you should think about when you're planning out your content strategy.
I read, the more expensive your program is, the more like touching points you need. I don't remember where I read this. Like if you are selling something pretty expensive, you need as many as 90 touching points. I was like, wow. But yeah, like I think now with so much noise, right, where it's just bombarded with, like even Dan Xu, when he came, he talked about this, even our like like text message. My text message used to be only for friends and family members. But nowadays, I'm receiving text message from Gary Vee, from, all those
Wow.
people. It's just like auto, sending messages. Like, yeah, it's just like, I almost feel like I need to get a new phone just to
Right.
my own space.
Yeah.
So I agree, like how many touching points. Yeah. So how are you going to continue to leverage video marketing in this new year to generate more leads, to serve your clients? And so like what are some strategies that you're using, adopting? And sure.
Yeah, I think for clients, I think it's just getting more focused on how can we, I think we've got the filmmaking and the videography. There's always something we can push there, but I think I have that to a point where I'm really satisfied with the quality and the craft that we have in crafting a message. And so now I'm going to continue kind of investing my time and learning more about the marketing side. And so that's how can I continue to enhance the digital experience, new technologies. As you said, there's text-based follow-up technology now that I think consumers are maybe more willing to text you back than pick up a phone. And so that's kind of where I'm starting to think about in terms of clients, is how can I build a better experience through the websites, the nurturing, and all that other marketing technology that integrates with it. Me personally, I'm going to continue being active on LinkedIn. I also I'm starting to put together a plan to make my own digital course teaching small businesses how they can build their own funnels, how they can film their own videos. So I think educational content is going to be huge, and that's something that I hope to be able to get started this year.
Yeah, I love it. Like even last week when Troy was on the show, we were talking about doing educational content, dropping so much value, serving the audience. And I shared with Kristian before I went live, and almost 2/3 of my clients come from my live streaming shows, from the content that I give out, from my master class.
That's awesome.
And it is really, really incredible. Yeah, like, people think, wow, the free content is pretty good. I can only imagine, if I pay this person, like how much better it's going to be. Yeah, I love it. So are you going to spend most of your energy on LinkedIn? Is that the main platform for you to do lead gen and putting yourself out there?
Yeah, that's been working. LinkedIn, I love it. There's a great community, and I think it's also still a really cool platform to build an organic following. But in terms of lead gen, that's right now my target audience are dance studio owners, and they don't really spend time on LinkedIn. And so I actually am finding, growing that right now through word of mouth referrals and emails. So that's where, as I kind of focus on this dance motion marketing baby, that's where I'll be spending my time. And I think I'm going to use LinkedIn just to kind of share what I'm learning in terms of what's working with local business marketing. I'm going to share probably my own process of drinking my own Kool-Aid and practicing what I preach and building funnels for dance motion marketing. So it's just going to be a place where I'll probably share more what I'm learning as I'm building things and learning more.
Yeah, I mean, such a great point. You really need to know where your audience hands out, right? So that you can be. I used to be really active on Twitter. Then I realized, oh wow, because I'm selling to the parents, and many of them are not actually on Twitter. So I actually switched to LinkedIn. I think this is what you were talking about. Tracking is so important. That we have to track how we're spending time, energy, and the watch time, all those things. So important. Yeah. So are you actually active on Clubhouse, or like you are just like really focused?
A little bit. I mean, the first week it came out, I was on it for maybe 20 hours the first week, but not so much. So that, I had a Clubhouse hangover the first week, but now I maybe drop in there once a week. Haven't been super active. It's just, I think it's a great opportunity there, but it's just, again, not where my audience or where my focus is right now.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of how I approach this. I think it's nice to network with other marketers, content creators.
Yeah.
I doubt any of my audience is actually hanging out there. So, embracing JOMO, joy of missing out, I suppose.
I love that. I'm taking that one. So we're gonna trade. We're gonna trade some words today. I'm taking some JOMO.
Yeah, I suppose to be like pressured by that FOMO, right?
Yeah.
As the CEO, you have to see the big picture. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
But I would say though, Clubhouse, the really interesting about that is it's a really intimate platform where people who normally keep up maybe a persona or a professional image. It's a place where I've actually been finding really meaningful connections and learning about people and like more of that personal storytelling rather than business storytelling. So I think it's a really cool platform, and it's solving a need of connection that I think we all are longing for after a whole year of lockdown.
Yeah, totally. I think that connection for sure. I agree. So just to wrap this up, anything else about like video marketing, converting strangers into customers that you think are really important, but we didn't really have a chance to discuss? So any parting piece of advice that you want to share with our live audience and people catching the replay?
Yeah. So nothing new, but I can, I guess, summarize what we've talked about, like the really important takeaways that I hope people walk away with is, if you're trying to implement video marketing in your business, whether it's personal or you're hiring out people, make sure you think about adding value, making it about them, and focusing on the message and talking to the people it's going to impact before you get started. And also, don't worry about it. I preach start small, use smartphones, use whatever you have at your disposal, because the most important thing is going to be that message. And so when it comes to that message, make it about your audience, make sure it adds value, and tell a story. Use real stories with real people. And I think you're going to find really cool ways of making meaningful connections now that we're online. We don't have this face-to-face anymore. So now we're kind of almost have to rely on video communication, and just, be you. Don't try to be someone you're not. And I think it's going to turn out pretty good if you do that.
Yeah, I love great advice. I actually love, after watching so many videos, of course, I enjoy the high quality Hollywood production. But if I'm on Facebook or on LinkedIn, sometimes it's like, talking videos, it's like the raw production. You can tell this person just use this phone to shoot a quick video. Those videos, sometimes I'm more interested in checking out, and more raw and more emotionally connected. So yeah, I agree. Yeah. So where can people learn more about you and check you out? I have your LinkedIn here.
Yeah.
And any other places?
LinkedIn is perfect. ZeroDegreeStory.com is another place where you can check out some of our recent case studies. Just finished putting some new ones on there as well. So you can learn about how local businesses can keep their doors open during the pandemic. And then you'll learn about kind of one of our recent storytelling projects with Humanity Center, which we're super excited about. Really cool films that came out of that. So you can check it out there and learn more about some of those works.
It's amazing. I highly recommend everyone check out some of the videos. Here's my cat. And I watched some of the videos. Really, really good. Really, really good. So thank you so much.
Thank you. It was awesome. It was really cool seeing all the live comments coming up. And so I really appreciate you, interviewing me. And I hope that this was valuable for your audience and help them, future-proof their businesses. So I love that tagline. I'm all about that mission.
Yeah, totally. We're all about being future ready. So thank you so much, Kristian, for your time.
Thank you
so much, everyone, for joining us live, morning, evening, afternoon, from all over the globe. I really appreciate you guys. And thank you to those who are checking out the replay. So next Wednesday, we have another amazing guest come to the show. So I hope to see you same time, same location. And take care. And thanks again, Kristian. Bye, everyone.